My confidence improved. I feel confident talking to people, talking to my patients now. Because I'm more confident, I'm better at setting boundaries now. And so it sounds too good to be true, but genuinely, when you start to put the work into yourself, everything about your life changes.
That's what the whole journey is about, right? Is finding yourself again and reminding yourselves to love yourself. Because when you're dealing with acne, the bullying and the negative self-talk that you have in your brain all day is so awful, like awful.
What's the first thing when you research online and you do Dr. Google and you go to the net, or we do, chatty with our Mr. ChatGPT, what's it going to tell you?
High androgens.
High
so
androgens.
That's what it was, PCOS. So I was doing the inositol, I was doing the spearmint tea, I was doing all the things for PCOS. And it's like, Laina, I don't even think you have this. Like, let's be real. What are you doing?
So you guys know I love a good full circle moment, like in anything. So this is why I was actually so super excited to have our next guest on the show today. She is a former client in the Clear Skin Solution. And I remember when I was chatting with Paige and Cris about this client, they were saying, yeah, she's been so amazing. She's made such great gains. And the story that she has to share is so incredible. And she's actually been really excited to see that kind of come to fruition and have that true full circle moment. And I was like, oh my gosh, we need to have her on the podcast. She has to come on. And Laina actually shared with me that she started manifesting in December of 2023 after she first listened to the first episode of the podcast, that she was manifesting being on the podcast. And 2 years later, ladies and gentlemen, guess who has herself on the podcast? Miss Laina. So thank you so much for coming on today. And I really do want to start with Laina, is you shared that you actually wrote something down on your phone the day that you joined.
I did. So the day I signed up for the Clear Skin Solutions, I had redone my makeup 5 different times that morning, and to the point where I didn't want to leave my apartment. I didn't want to go see patients. I just felt like I felt ugly, So I had redone my makeup 5 times, and I'd thought about joining your guys' program for a year. And it was at that point, I was like, okay, like I can't do this anymore. So I finally took the plunge and joined. And I'm very, very thankful that I did, because I've had great progress in the past 6 months since I've been here.
Oh my gosh, look at this moment right here. And I want to kind of go back to what you said there. You had redone your makeup 5 times. And for anyone that's a makeup girly, you're like 5 times. Like that probably took you hours and hours to do. But I can completely relate to that, because when I had acne, I was never leaving my house without a full face of makeup on. And you said you were working with patients because you're actually a naturopathic doctor student right now. You're graduating later this year. So not only are you interacting with people every single day, like so many of us are, you're also studying this type of work.
Right. Exactly. And how am I supposed to show up for patients when I can't feel confident in myself or confident in my own skin and show up for myself? So I really needed the hand holding. I needed someone to help me through the journey. I am my own worst patient.
I truly believe that everybody needs a coach or a point person to see the things that you don't, because even the best athletes in the world, the Simone Biles, the Williams sisters, the LeBron Jameses, they all are the best athletes in the world, and they have coaches that are there to see the things they can't see, to see those like self biases that you have, because when you're in it, you're stuck in your head, and it's really hard to get out of that.
Well, that's the thing too. And everyone is like, I don't see your acne, or I don't even notice it, or you're beautiful. And it's like, okay, but like I see it, like I don't feel beautiful. And so I think also joining the program and being in the chat and like getting to connect with other people going through the same thing. For the first time, I had felt seen. I was like, okay, like, wow, there are people that are going through the same struggles that I'm going through, and that understand and that get it, and that don't just look at me and say, well, I don't even notice your acne, because they suffer from acne as well. And so it's a whole different ship. It's a whole different new community that I'm new to. And that was just very validating to be in.
I have a question for you, because you were like, hey, I applied my makeup 5 times. I was following you about a year ahead of time. What was the length of time before you were like, I was introduced here. Oh, yeah, okay, the 5 applications. But in between that time, why did it take a year?
I I'm not sure why it took a year. Part of it was finances because of school. Another part of it was I don't think I was fully ready to commit. I didn't feel confident enough. I didn't trust myself enough that I would pull the plunge and actually follow the program because I had crashed and burned from like trying to help myself so many times. I was like, are you actually going to do this, Laina? Like, if you sign up, this is a commitment. You have to follow through and show up for yourself. And so I think that was the turning point.
Is it fair to say like fear of failure?
Yeah, fear of failure, 100%, because I'd failed already for, 10, I've been dealing with this for like 10 plus years. And so I had failed so many times. And I told myself, I was like, there's no way that I'll be able to start to heal my acne through this program. But I had so much trust in you guys also, just from listening to the podcast, from seeing all the stories. It's like they know what they're talking about. I also really love the angle of healing from the inside out instead of just applying a bunch of topicals, which is what I'd been doing previously. 14, 15 years old, I got on birth control for acne and for menstrual cramps. And so I had been on that for about 10 years. And in my early 20s, I would flip flop between coming off of birth control and my acne would come back. And so I would get back on birth control for a few months until my acne cleared. And I did that like 2 or 3 times. And finally, I got off around COVID. And after I got off of birth control, that is kind of when everything just flourished. So I had really bad GI health, really bad bloating after every single meal. I looked 8 months pregnant, legit. My acne was really bad, obviously. My anxiety was really bad. My menstrual cramps were really bad. Everything about my menstrual cycle was really bad. I had probably 5 good days out of the month where I felt like myself. And so I think that acne is so much deeper than just the surface and what you see on the skin. So I think incorporating all of the healing from the inside out has helped to heal everything I just mentioned. And it's a journey. I'm not healed, but we're on the way.
When you said, I had failed so many times, has it ever been positioned to you that you had tried and it didn't give you the gains that you wanted, right? We all have dreams and desires, but all those trial and errors, you never actually gave up on yourself because you kept trying,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's so true.
Yeah, I just want to be cautious of that because it's people say, I tried and I failed, I tried and failed. It didn't work out the way you envisioned it, the way that the
Mm-hmm.
desire is. So what we
Absolutely.
do is we tell ourselves, hey, I failed. And then just builds that fear box, right? Because it's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, it's another thing I'm going to have to do. I'm going to invest myself. Like you said, sometimes it can be finances. Obviously, going through naturopathic school is, on its own. But these types of things. So no matter what, you see how we'll find the excuse not to do something. And you're going to find that with your patients too, right? So when we hold in that space, I just want everyone to understand is the fact that you invested and that you're hanging in here. And yes, your journey is going to continue, fair?
Absolutely. Oh, it's a lifelong journey at this point. It is not ending.
And that's
It's a
called
lifelong journey.
sustainability. So the difference
100%.
between fear and sustainability is the trial and error.
I completely agree.
Fair. Okay. Because I don't want you to
Absolutely.
think you failed because you didn't, because you kept trying.
No, I
Mhm.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think it's easy to look at, our journey to get where we are and see, oh, I failed so many times. But in fact, I like to say they were detours in the right direction. You were trying different things and you were working towards getting to that goal. You may have hit a speed bump, may have like gone off course a little bit, gone in a ditch, but you kept going and you kept on that road.
Yes, and that was probably one of the hardest things to keep going. But I feel like the beautiful thing about women or anybody who has acne, once you reach that threshold of, okay, I can't do it anymore, you will do everything in your power to overcome it. And so that's where I was at that point when I signed up.
When we get to that point, that's survival. That's a burnout stage. It's like you ever hold your breath and go underwater? What happens when you immerse yourself into the water and you hold your breath to the point that your body goes, I need oxygen? What do you naturally do?
Hmm. That's a really good point.
And that's what the body does. It's self-survival. So your body never, ever will give up on you until what it does is it gives you a host of symptoms, cascades those symptoms and the signs. Everybody that has it, they'll say, acne's ugly. Fair? I've had it.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh,
Hmm.
acne's ugly. That's not
Hmm.
pretty. However, it doesn't define you. What it does is acne is a beautiful messenger to say, enough's enough.
Hmm.
Right? It's coming down into that. So, and I mean, we'll go into your progress and kind of all those things, but I'm pretty sure now, like, just looking at it differently, when we're in your trenches and you're going through your protocols, all you're doing is like, and this is today. This is
No,
today,
exactly, yeah.
right?
Exactly, and it was also that huge mindset shift, so you guys talk about mindset a lot, and until you change your mindset from, "Oh, I look so ugly," or "I feel ugly, my acne defines me, I can't go out in public," you're not going to heal, and so I think that has been probably one of the most significant things I've learned throughout this journey, and even just listening to your podcast in the past year, is I needed to change my mindset of how I viewed myself and showed up for myself, as well as my mindset with letting go of like past negative traumas, just the past in general. That's been a huge part of healing too.
That's so beautiful. That's like my favorite part when clients are like, the mindset was truly the biggest piece because it really is. And it's so hard to, almost like that saying, like, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink because you really have to discover that mindset component on your own. And when you realize that your internal thoughts are creating your external experiences, it can have such a profound shift in your life, like not just your health, but your life included.
No, absolutely. And it really does. And people, I think, underestimate the power of your mind and how it plays in your everyday interactions. And it really is everything.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear it. So now I'm curious, Lena, is you joined us in the Clear Skin Solution. What was the initial experience like? Were there challenges? Was there things you were like, oh my gosh, this is difficult. I love this. Like, I want to really hear, like, what was that journey like from you from when you started to working your way through your protocols, and go from there?
I think when I started, I was so ready to go. I was so ready for the first protocol. I was, gung ho. And when you first start, when you're waiting for the HTMA to come back, you focus on the basics, which nutrition, hydration, movement, sleep, stress. At first, I was freaking out because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm ready to go. I'm trying, but I wasn't perfect in those. And no one is ever perfect in all of those. And so that was my initial challenge. But I finally overcame that and got my first protocol. And I loved my first protocol. It was anti-inflammatory. And I loved that you didn't just dive right into the gut because I had a lot of inflammation that I was not aware of. And I saw a reduction in just like feeling puffy and just getting overheated and breaking out in like hives. I had a huge reduction in overall inflammation. I had a huge reduction in bloating and GI symptoms. For the first time in 10 years, I had a period where I didn't have to take any ibuprofen at all. I've never had that. And so that happened probably month 4 from being on the program, I'd say. And then I think at that point, we switched into the gut protocol. And that was a little bit of a challenge too, because I wasn't used to some of the ways of eating that were in there. But I would talk to my coach, I talked to Callie. I was like, hey, this protocol is making me, not feel my best. And so we switched it. We made alterations. And that kind of changed everything. And I've just been following that ever since. And I genuinely don't think I'll ever go back. And I do sometimes, like it happened to me last week, I'll get really confident. I'll get a little too cocky in my healing journey. I'm like, okay, I can eat all of the things. I can eat all of the ice cream and all the gluten and the dairy. And then I suffer the repercussions after from doing too much at once. And so I think that I'm still working on that process. But overall, I think that I'm taking everything that I learned with the protocols and just going to continue to apply it.
I'm so glad that you started with, you really need to begin with the basics. Like
Yeah.
truly, because it's so funny when clients come in, Chris, and they're like, I'm already eating this way, or I'm already doing these things. And we're like, that's great. And we are going to fine tune it a little bit more. They're like, no, I don't want to do this. I want to do like the gut protocols and the detoxes. Give me that stuff. And we're like, yes. And we really need to make sure that your body has the foundations correctly in order to build. Because just like you said, you had a lot of inflammation that you didn't know about. And had we skipped right into a gut protocol, you would have felt 100 times worse because we didn't flush out the areas of the body that needed it first.
Even myself, I wouldn't have thought about doing anti-inflammatory first. So I'm really glad that we did.
With the HTMA, because I quickly pulled it up, is I can see, when you say the period, you had high copper. Copper is interconnected to things like estrogen, and you mentioned the painful periods, and everyone thinks PCOS with that. It's not accurate. Whistleblower right there. But you mentioned the rashes. Nickel was elevated. That is very big. Nickel with rashes, skin disruptions, gut dysbiosis is huge. The other thing is why you would have been put on an anti-inflammatory, pushed a whole bunch of nutrients, is because you were low normal in many valuable minerals. So we need you to eat. We need to teach you to eat. How many people say, hey, let's teach you how to eat? And you're like, what? I'm a human. I've been eating for XYZ years. It doesn't matter. The fact is even when you come into that anti-inflammatory, I mean, your total weight of toxicity was yellow. That's a caution, right? Your calcium and magnesium, that was elevated as well. So that's more acidity. So this is like that gas, that bloat, that digestive like issues. So this is why, and maybe you could tell us just a little bit about that, even having that HTMA experience is being able like how we craft it. Because you're like, hey, I'm glad I did that because when I came in, I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I am ready. Let's go. And then you're like, ooh, I'm thankful now because we don't really take the thanks until we get to something way more eccentric, like going into the gut. And you're like, oh, thank you for starting over there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that also, to your point saying that you have to, like, I was taught how to eat. I genuinely was taught how to eat. And like, I went to school for nutrition. Like I, did all the dietitian things and I was like, I know how to eat. But what I learned is that just because foods are quote healthy does not mean that they're healthy for me, does not mean that my body can react to the ways that other people's body do. So I was kind of dumbfounded in that. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I can't go eating all the cruciferous veggies. It just doesn't work for my body. And so that was a huge takeaway also that one size doesn't fit all for food.
I love that. And for you, Laina, when you got your HTMA results back, did you have any aha moments? Was it really eye-opening for you? Like, how did you find those results for yourself?
I loved the results. I loved going over them. I loved like the science aspect of it. I geeked out on it. And there's a sticky note on my computer somewhere with all the results. I can't exactly remember what they were because that feels like so long ago. But I remember there was depletion, like you mentioned, and just an overall electrolyte imbalance. And so that was kind of an aha moment for me as well.
So I open the HTMA, but when I open it up, I'm like right away, I see the acidity. I see some, heavy mental interplay, maybe some brain fog. I see burnout. I see digestive issues, probably excessive copper, maybe not enough emulsification of fats, which is then you're going to disrupt your hormones. And, but I haven't touched your file.
That is, and you were so spot on. And I just remembered that as soon as I opened up the chat with Liana to talk about it, the very first thing she said to me was, after looking at your HTMA, I can tell that you're very hard on yourself. And I was like, whoa, full stop. What are you talking about? How do you know just from looking at my HTMA? And so everything she said was spot on. And it was a crazy
Maybe
experience.
throwing a little bit of frustration or resentment in there, because I see it in your sodium potassium, but right? But again, that's where we get after spending that year where you're like following, not ready, oh my gosh, what am I doing? That leads into burnout, that leads into frustration, that leads into things. However, here's what people don't understand. That's an emotion, but that depletes minerals like sodium, potassium,
So true. So
right?
true.
And
Absolutely.
now that you're going to be flourishing in and becoming that full-fledged doctor, you know, even when I'm teaching at the schools, I always teach minerals. And we have some practitioners inside the Clear Skin Solution that I have taught. And they're like, Cris, I remember you teaching me going, how the heck am I going to know all these minerals? Why does she harp on these minerals? And they're like, we get it now. We get it now, right? Because once you understand the minerals and once you understand they have personalities, and once you understand when you put them together, they become body systems. How do you not want to use them?
Minerals are fascinating and they seem so small. They're like, oh, it's just minerals. Like, what do I have to do with the body, right? Who cares? Now, I want to, when I go back a little bit more, Lena, that you talked about how it wasn't just your skin you were suffering with. Like, you were suffering with horrible periods. Like, taking ibuprofen, and like for any women out there who have had really painful periods, they know what you're talking about. Like you're like in bed with a heating pack, like praying to see the light you want. You're like, this is it. I'm out of here. I can't deal with this anymore. This is awful. So for you, outside of your skin, like what types of shifts did you see? Was it just your period? Did you have other symptoms clear up? What was going on there?
So yeah, definitely with the period, definitely with the cramps, the bloating, the mood changes as well. I wasn't really angry or irritable or super moody for 2 weeks. It was more so a few days before my period. That I think one of the biggest ones as well was the bloating. After every single meal, I would get bloated no matter what I ate. And it was just a very uncomfortable feeling. And I just did not feel good. I was sad. I cried a lot just to be vulnerable. Like I cried probably 4 to 5 times every single week. My confidence improved. I feel confident talking to people, talking to my patients now. I feel more confident in my relationship. I feel more confident telling people how I feel in terms of like my family and friends and setting boundaries. I feel because I'm more confident, I'm better at setting boundaries now. And so it sounds too good to be true, but genuinely, when you start to put the work into yourself, everything about your life changes. That's what my journey was.
It's such a beautiful thing because you came in for acne, but it caused this incredible ripple through all the other areas of your life where now you're more confident at work, you're more confident with your patients, your relationships improved, like everything improves when you have confidence and you feel empowered in your health.
Absolutely. That was I've struggled with that for so long as well. There was never a point where it's like I woke up and I was like, today I'm confident. It was a journey. It was a lot of work to get to this point.
So I'm curious, can you talk to us about your skin changes, right? So what you
Yes.
came in with to what you're now or have, what was that change?
To start, I was apparently destroying my skin barrier. I had no idea. I was using all the topicals, the tretinoin, all of the acids, and my skin was just so dry and red. And I had acne in the beard distribution. So it was all down my neck. It was the braille like acne all over my neck, all over my cheeks, my jaw. And then I would get the big cyst along my jawline as well. Big cyst on my cheeks, on my chin. And so as of right now, the braille-like acne has 100% cleared up. That is cleared up. I no longer get the really, really deep, painful cysts on my cheeks and my chin. And I'll get a few breakouts here and there around my menses, but absolutely nothing like it was before.
That's incredible. I know it's like, unless you've dealt with acne yourself, you really don't understand what it is like dealing with it every single day. And for you to be able to go from the beard, like neck acne, braille, like the pain, like even the pain of having deep cystic acne, like the physical pain is just so not fun to deal with.
No, it is not. And like you said, unless you've had acne, you can't really understand what it's like to look in the mirror and not like what is looking back at you. And so that just ripples into your whole entire day and your overall mood.
Where you described with where the acne is, what's the first thing when you research online and you do Dr. Google and you go to the net or we do, chatty with our Mr. ChatGPT, what's it going to tell you?
High androgens.
High
So that's what it
androgens.
was, PCOS. So I was doing the inositol. I was doing the spearmint tea. I was doing all the things for PCOS. And it's like, Laina, I don't even think you have this. Like, let's be real. What are you doing?
The internet told you did,
The
so it has to
internet
be
told
true.
me, the internet also told me I had endometriosis, among a ton of other things. So
You're like, oh my gosh, this is it. I
this
have
is,
all of these
I
things.
can't have kids. Like, I'm
No,
screwed.
I'm
Yeah.
done. This is it. I drink spearmint tea 8 liters a day for the rest of my life. It's so interesting, right? Is because we live in this world where we have immediate access to unlimited information, whether it's the internet, it's social media, it's even AI with ChatGPT now. We have so much information, but it's almost too much information because it's like, how do I sort through all of that online for me, the human, the individual?
The acne world online is so big right now. And no matter where you go, well, my algorithm is like all acne, but there's so many clips. I even think you talked about this, Katie, where girls are like, how to clear your acne in 7 days, or here's how I cured my acne in, a week. And I just want to put out like a broad message. There is no one size fits all to acne. Please do not go follow some TikTok regimen for acne for you because you might end up making it worse and that might not even work for you. And I was victim to that. I was like, okay, I would buy a product because, Sarah said that it was good. And it wasn't. It wasn't good for my skin. And so That's another really good thing that I loved about the program were all of the different product recommendations that you guys had and talking to Ashley and really simplifying my skincare routine. Even with the makeup, I stopped wearing foundation and just do like a tinted sunscreen. I haven't touched foundation, and so that made a huge difference as well.
And, like, just looking at you through the camera, like, you have such a beautiful glow to your skin, so I can see that
Thank you.
skin barrier has renewed itself, where
Yeah.
it's not looking dehydrated and inflamed and raw, like, you have that hydrated, dewy glow that your skin naturally should have.
I never ever once in my life thought that I would achieve this. I'm still in the way, but I never thought that I would achieve skin like this.
It's incredible. Oh my gosh, this journey has been so exciting to listen to. So I like to wrap this up, Lena, by asking, like, for people that were where you were, because we have so many women that, they love the podcast and they're like, oh my gosh, no, it's just not the right time. I'm scared it's not going to work. All of those fears that we tell ourselves, what would you tell that person, or what would you tell yourself a year before you joined the program?
To finally pull the plunge and commit to yourself and invest in yourself because it's worth it. Um, Wake up and choose yourself because as women, we pour into the cups of so many other people, and it is impossible to keep pouring into others' cups when ours are empty. And so you have to pour back into your own cup so that you can keep spreading love and light. That's probably what I would tell him. And also, you guys mentioned healing is not linear. It absolutely is not linear. And life is going to continue to throw curveballs at you, but it's so important to not let them tear you down and to just keep pushing through them, essentially. Yeah.
That's what the whole journey is about, right? Is finding yourself again and reminding yourselves to love yourself, because when you're dealing with acne, the bullying and the negative self-talk that you have in your brain all day is so awful, like awful. And I always tell people, when you catch yourself speaking like that, would you speak to your best friend like that? And you're like, oh my, no, of course I would not. I would never speak to my best friend like that. So I want you to start speaking to yourself like you're your own best friend. And it's not an overnight thing. It's going to take time, but you're going to start catching yourself, and then you can start speaking kinder to yourself, and it's going to make such a big difference.
I have been practicing that as well. And probably for the past couple years. And the other day I was in clinic and I was having a conversation in my head and I was like, Laina, did you do this? And I was like, of course you did, because you're awesome. And I was like, oh my gosh, should I just call myself awesome? It's the little things like that that really make a difference.
And just as you continue onto your journey, right? And when you're talking and you catch yourselves in those positive thoughts, it's really neat. But what I loved about yours is, again, as we were sitting here, I opened your file and we asked for photos, monthly photos, so that we can help you in the journey. And gosh, did that smile start from a smile? Always a smile, but did she beam at the end? Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, where's her eye? This is all mouth. This is fantastic. I love it. Right? You were just a huge beaming, like Katie said, the glow, but your smile was so infectious. And I knew that that's why I said self-love, because I'm like, oh, she's arrived.
Yes, exactly. You hit the nail on the head, Cris. Looking from my first pictures to my last pictures with a smile, you could see it in my eyes too. I was not happy. I was so sad. And now it makes me emotional.
It's been such a beautiful journey, and I actually pretty sure we have because you tagged me in your before and afters, and I'm pretty sure they're saved in our client win highlight in our Instagram. So if you want to go and see more on Lena's journey, you can just head to my Instagram at Katie Stewart Wellness and check out client wins, and she'll probably be closer to the end of it. Oh my goodness. I love this full circle moment. This has been so, so special. Selena, thank you so much, one,
Thank you.
for letting us help you on your journey to self-love, letting us be a part of that beautiful journey and witnessing it with you. And thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yay. All right, everybody. So if you want to hang out with us over in the Clear Skin Solution, just check the show notes. You can go and learn more about working with us over there, just like the lovely Laina did. And we will see everybody next week on another episode.